citizens. And that's not to say that we can't help other people out in the long run, but on the immediate term, these are the people who pay taxes, who are pouring into the system and have been pouring in the system for a long time, who has historical roots here. They need those resources so they can continue to push the economy forward and to help people out across the board. If we just take care of the new arrivals and erase the foundation, then this country, unfortunately, won't be able to operate or run, because the new arrivals, they're not quite digested or consume the American, I would say, spirit yet. They're still getting acclimated to what's here. So if things don't work out, they just leave. If things don't work out for us, we're stuck here. So resources definitely have to go to the citizens first.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Tether Think Tank, you throw and T Gold are gonna rotate the stage.
All right, Bello.
Y'all can come back. I just gotta get to the people.
I'll come back.
Much respect.
All right, thanks, Tether Think Tank. FBA Soldier.
Hey, how you doing, host? How's everybody doing? Yeah, so to answer the prompt, Black is absolutely, by every definition, a broad term, because by definition, it encompasses over 3,000 different ethnic groups of people and over 4 dozen different nationalities of people fit into one category. So it's absolutely to identify a group of people. So anybody to say that, to try to argue that it's not broad by definition, is just being disingenuous. It's absolutely broad. So is the term African. It's the same thing. It encompasses over 3,000 different ethnic groups and 54 nationalities of people. So to try to call a group of people that don't even live on the African continent and haven't lived there for centuries, you know, and can't, so long that we can't even find any ancestor on that continent, is just incorrect. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the way to define our ethnic group, and especially our political identity. I think this conversation needs to be focused on political identity, not just how we broadly define ourselves by what YT people see. I think political identity is what matters. And the only group of people in the entire world that politically identify as Black people are the foundational Black American descendants of chattel slavery. Nobody in Africa politically identifies as Black people. Nobody in the Caribbean politically identifies as Black people. Now you have the Black Brits as well, but they also delineate by calling themselves Black Brits. You know what I'm saying? When you look at our paperwork on political and federal paperwork, they just have Black/African American, and we check that box because we see Black, because that's how we politically identify ourselves, and I think that's what matters, and that's why we need a more specific identifiers, such as Foundational Black American, American Freedom, something like that, to define us, because it absolutely, for us to be politically defined by broad terms, is the way white supremacy has been holding us down for the last 65 years. So us changing that, so us getting away from these broad terms is us literally directly changing the political system and the way that politics addresses the descendants of chattel slavery in this country. So that is actively fighting against white supremacy, because they use those broad terms to dilute the resources that are supposed to be allocated to us based on what we specifically went through and only we went through. I'll land there.
Okay, just a statement too. I won't be doing the midday show. I know I said that earlier, but I'm gonna stick to this until I get better at it.
I got a rebuttal. I think I logged out. What happened?
Hold on, Ellis. Anybody have any rebuttals for FBA Soldier?
I had a rebuttal.
Okay, Johnny. Alina, did you have one?
Kind of. I agree on some points as well, though.
Do you have a rebuttal in there also?
Somewhat. I feel like.
Okay, wait. Just hold on. Just yes or no for me. So, because Johnny said it first and then you. Okay, so I'll get right to you after Johnny. Johnny, go ahead. Thank you for the gifts.
Is race category bound by law? Who decides an American's race? Are Americans forced to be a specific race? The question of how race is defined and categorized in the United States is a complex intersection of historical precedent, administrative policy, and personal identity. Is race a category bound by law? In a strictly legal sense, there is no federal law that assigns a biological race to an individual. However, race is categorized by law for administrative and civil rights purposes. The most influential standard is Statistical Policy Directive number 15, issued by the Office of Management and Budget. The directive defines the 5 minimum race categories. And summarizing it, historically, race was often determined by blood fractions like the one drop rule, codified in state laws, particularly in the Jim Crow South. Today, the legal framework has shifted away from state imposed biological definitions towards administrative data collection based on how an individual chooses to represent themselves. You choose your race, bruh. There's no white man telling you black. There's no community telling you black. There's no we.
Now your plan, Johnny.
I landed it. It's I. There's no us. Yeah, in race.
Okay, FBA soldier. Final say.
Yeah, if he was I guess that was a rebuttal to me, but yeah, I agree. Yes, the Black Americans, we are the only people that have chosen to define ourselves politically as black. Nobody else has done that in the world. So that's why we say when you come here, don't act confused, because when you go to the Caribbean or the African continent, they are the most delineated people on earth. They are very, especially Africans, they are the most ethnic conscious people on earth. Those people can look at somebody and tell that they're Igbo or Yoruba. I hear it all the time. You look Igbo, you look Yoruba, stuff like that. So they are very conscious of who they are and how they politically identify. So when you come to America, don't just say, well, I guess I'm black now, and try to act confused about who you are. They're doing that for a reason, and they only do that. They really don't want to do that. They only do that when they see benefits from doing that. And then once they get the benefits, then they go right back into identifying and giving props to their ethnic group and their nationality, which is how they identify in Africa. In America, we identify by the racial category black, and we chose to do that.
All right. You ready for your question?
Yes.
Okay. Should Black Americans support strict ICE enforcement?
Absolutely. Because everybody, all immigrants from even back in the 1800s when all of the YT immigrants came, everybody comes to America for one reason, because they know that they can get tangible resources based on the struggle of the descendants of American chattel slavery. They know if they come here and they fit within the construct of not helping these people, not aligning with our issues or our agenda, then they know that they can get resources allocated specifically for them based on what we go through. For instance, when Kamala Harris did a speech talking about the American Freedmen's Bank, when she started that speech, she talked about how that bank was only meant for the descendants of slaves, and how when that bank closed, it only affected the descendants of slaves. But her solution to that was to give resources to Asians and Native Americans and every other immigrant that's in this country. So that's why all immigrants come here, because they know as long as they don't align with us and they go against us, then the political structure will give them resources. They put them in our communities and give them all of the resources that are allocated to us, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you, FBA soldier. Thank you for your input on the Rotate the Stage. Thank you for coming up. Thank you. TJ, how you doing?
Appreciate it.
Hey, love. I just came up to answer the prompt.
Okay.
It says FBA versus Global Black, and I'm starting there because I think it's important to frame it some type of way that it is too broad if we're talking about how to identify ethnically Black Americans. Right now, if we look back in the legal documents and policies of organizations, ethnically Black Americans are identified by African American, ethnically or Black American and Negro. And the reason I'm saying that's too broad is because I went back and I researched when has the last time have we looked at what legal immigration has done to the Black community. And I found there was a commission on, it still exists, Commission of Immigration Reform, that talks about that there is a negative impact on Black Americans. I had to go all the way back to 1994, 95 to find something. And it says there has been a negative impact to Black Americans by legal immigration. And what was suggested was that 30% of legal immigration be cut, but that was shot down by a lot of business organizations that benefited from the cheaper labor of immigrants. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because that distinctly leaves Black Americans who aren't immigrants in a category that is very unique, when we're always being told that we got to kind of blend in with this or blend in as Democrat with that. And why I say that finding was important, and now it's important for us to figure out how to identify ourselves specifically, is because we need protection. Because if you got immigrants that'll come and they benefit off of bridge of business owners because the business owners benefit off of them, then who is going to stand up and protect the voice of Black Americans who aren't on either one of those sides? So it's important that we identify ourselves. If we don't use Black because that's a race and everybody can say that they're Black, and you hear that being said on the panel. And I just wanted to leave it there. I did want to bring something else up, but I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to bring up earlier, it was somebody that asked a good question. They said, hey, why can't y'all all agree on, if y'all talking ethnicity and y'all need to be, we haven't all agreed yet, because the latest change in standing and identifying ourselves specifically so nobody else can say that they're Black, they're ethnically Black, that hasn't come to any political floor yet. That hasn't come to any legal argument yet. Once that moves through the political system and through lobbying and things like that, because we're only seeing the grassroots of it, you're going to see us finally have to come to terms with what identifier are we going to use, because that African American, that particular identifier, it's in a lot of different legal documents. That's why people say, how do immigrants benefit? They benefit because if they can identify as us, that particular identifier is on all kinds of funding, on all kinds of laws, all kinds of commission.
That's right.
Yeah, only if they want to. Anybody has something to say, I'll speak to them about it.
Okay. Anybody have a rebuttal for TJ?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead, Bellamy. Hey, Bellamy.
How you doing, Luz? Thanks for having me once again. Yeah, just had a quick question for the lady. In terms of the view, in terms of immigrants receiving opportunity under the umbrella of Black America, right? So my stance is obviously, this is about resources and economics as far as delineation is concerned. My question is, why is that necessary? On the latter side of that, why white supremacy still exists, and why we focus more on that instead of the other side.
I wanted to answer that if it's okay. Are you done, Bellamy? I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, when I used that example, that concrete example about how it was found that immigration negatively impacts the Black American community specifically, if we don't distinguish between who is getting benefits when it comes to who needs protection from unequal playing bills, then that's where Black Americans don't see the benefit of supporting immigrants to get those benefits if it's at our detriment. Does that make sense? Meaning that if there are studies that shows that us supporting other immigrants getting benefits from the fights that we fought, but those negatively impact us, then we have a problem, and that's what you hear direct testimony of. I don't think there's any reporting being done on. I don't think anybody is saying, study how this is impacting Black Americans. All you hear right now is Black Americans telling you their stories, telling you this is specifically how we're being impacted.
Okay, thank you. You ready for your question, TJ?
Yes, love.
Okay. What do FBA/Black Americans and immigrants actually have in common?
I think we all have a want to do better for ourselves in our own countries. And that's why Black Americans keep bringing up that we have our own fight to do better for ourselves in the United States of America. And we wish people would look at their strife and their struggle the same way, but it's not against us or how to reform how we've come about in America. It should be more about how they can do better for themselves in the country from which they came from. That's the biggest problem we're seeing.
Thank y'all so much for the gifts. Okay, thank you, TJ. I'm going to rotate the stage. Thank you
for having me up.
You're welcome. Okay, Original, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. You want to address the prompt for me?
Most definitely. I think when it comes to FBA and the global Black, is Black too broad a term to define people? It definitely is. It doesn't actually fit as a ethnic identifier. It's more of a racial category in America, but it also encompasses a lot of different people on the continent of Africa. But African doesn't mean Black, and Black doesn't mean African, because it's a diverse population within Africa itself. But Black Americans or FBA, whatever you want to call them, delineating and making a specific terminology for their racial ethnic group, I don't feel like it should make a true Pan-Africanist mad, because one of the guides of Pan-Africanism is self-determination. So if you're a true Pan-Africanist, FBA is operating within self-determination should make you proud that they're putting down their colonial labels of Black, Negro, colored, et cetera, African-American, and making a foundation for themselves and making themselves foundational Black American, whatever you want to call them, going forward. So with Black, people like to pretend like Black means African. Black does not mean African. African does not mean Black. Africa is a diverse continent with Arabic people, ancient Berbers, and different things of that nature. There are people that are indigenous Australians. They are Black, but they are not African. There are people of the Oceanias, the Melanesians, the Micronesians. They are not Black, but they are phenotypically presenting as Black. So Black has always been a term that is too broad to describe ethnic Black Americans or foundational Black Americans. To begin to understand that, then you can understand delineation and disaggregation and how it really operates. And then you can look up different terms like ethnogenesis and begin to understand how that operates. I did want to talk to the young lady up who said white people gave Black Americans the nation, as if Black Americans didn't build this nation and fight in every war that was on American soil. So I like to address misinformation, but she's far.
Thank you, Original. Anybody have any rebuttals?
I got a rebuttal.
Johnny. All right, go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, man, I would like to see something different. Like, I'm hearing everybody going to the past, everybody going 250, 200 years ago. What about the future? So if we get a new category, would we have to prove who we are through DNA or genealogy? And the only way you can be a part of that category is by proving in the courtroom that you are part of this category. because that's the only thing that I see that's valuable. Anything else, getting a name to make me feel good, I don't care nothing about that. You know, I mean, I like the sisters say what they do. They delineate everybody else, and it's like we're left with no category. Maybe that's a good thing, because once you DACA for life. You know, I wouldn't want to be DACA. Now they can't even hang out with the regular immigrants. They DACA for life. So I wouldn't want to be something that has no economic value for the rest of my life, like being a kosher or a native. You know, that has unique value. Where's the value going to come from?
So I would think that the value comes from Black Americans identifying themselves, whether it be FBA or whatever they choose to go forward. I would think that the value comes from actually have that specifically is for Black American descendants of chattel slavery, or Black Americans that are on this land, that have been in this land, that don't have recent immigrant backgrounds. So I think it's fairly easy to understand, but I think people purposely, willingly misunderstand what ethnic identifiers mean and why they should be used going forward when it comes to political narratives, legalities, and as well as reparations, because reparations can race because there's too broad of a category. You have to have lineage-based reparations. If you look into how reparations was given on American soil, it was given to people based off their lineage and the historic harms that were done to us. We have historical harms that were documented and done to us on United States soil, as well as Jim Crow laws after that, black codes, et cetera, redlining, and the way that they took Black farm owners' homelands. So there are different things that we can identify to make sure that us is specifically for us. FUBU, maybe I may be too old, but for us, by us, means something.
Thank you. Where you from, original?
I'm from North Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis, I figured that. Okay, you ready for your question?
Right.
All right. If unity realistic or just idealistic?
I think solidarity is more realistic than unity, because unity desires uniformity. Unity desires all of us to operate under the same, umbrella-like terms such as Black. But with solidarity, we operate under, okay, I know you might be Jamaican, but we have a solidarity of mindset. We have a solidarity of what we want from these colonial powers on each of our soil. So you might have a Black mindset, but it's not in solidarity with the overall Black mindset. So within unification, I think that it chips off at people's individuality. So I can allow you to be a Jamaican and have your political narratives faced towards the United Kingdom or the British government still having a monarchy or a certain control over those beaches or whatever you have in Jamaica. But we can still solidarity from one continent to the next. So I think that solidarity would be better than unity, because within unity, I think people want to lock people into one system when it can really be shared across the diaspora. That's how I think Pan-Africanism should work. I think Pan-Africanism should work on the continent of Africa before it ever begins to go out into the diaspora. I think that this should be the main narrative of people protecting and solidifying what's best for their ethnic background in their homes before they begin to try to unify if they haven't unified at home first. I think that you start first within solidarity, within the mind and the spirit, and then the body will follow. So I think that unity is good, but it was a woman who told me about solidarity. When I looked up the definition, how she explained it, I think solidarity is better, as they operate under UAW laws or unions, or however you will. They have so many different unions, but all of those people operate in solidarity for the betterment of equal pay, better rights for the people that work for them, better labor laws. They got away with pensions, but they give them better 401k and benefit packages, things of that nature. Solidarity over unity is what I think.
Thank you so much, original. Johnny, hey.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. You want to address the prompt?
Yeah, Black is definitely too broad. But what I was seeing was people just holding on to the word Black like they victims of domestic abuse. Like, you can let the word Black go. The word ain't got nothing to do with it. You can leave Black and still be American and still be a descendant of slave. We was descendant of slaves before they created the word Black. So although FBA has Black in it, I think they might think that FBA is focused on the word black, like they hold on to it, like the people that aren't descendants of slaves hold on to it, because all they have is the word black. They don't have they don't have lineage. We call it pedigree in college. They don't have pedigree. FBAs have pedigree. Okay, if you don't have pedigree, then you just black. Anybody can be black, and that's cool. But the value would be the reparations. Everything that you can look up the studies or whatever like that. And if you're not eligible for that, then stop sweating FBA, man. Do you? Be black. You know what I'm saying? Stay out their face. They not asking y'all for nothing. You know what I'm saying? They don't need you, to help them get reparations. If they give us reparations, I'm getting a check by myself. I don't have to ever meet another FBA because it's my reparations. It's not our reparations. You know what I'm saying? So, I see the hate, the jealousy. I've seen it all my life. When they can't get what we can get, they jealous. They call us white for being American. They call us white for exercising our constitutional rights. Oh, you want to be like the white man. Oh, just because I want to go practice my Second Amendment? Just because I practice my freedom of speech? Just because I want to vote? Just because I want to get a voter registration card? Just because I want a driver's license? Just because I like to shop at nice stores, I want to be white? So I guess if you black, you got to be like a peasant or something. You got to be like a peasant living in poverty. So you know what I'm saying? That's getting old. We already did that. We've been through that. We gone. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take our bag and we're going to let y'all have that commie peasant stuff. Go holler at your man, New York, and ride the bus for free. You know what I'm saying? If that's what you want to do. Because we're going to take our bag and we're going to go wherever we want to go in this country and be around whoever we want to be around, bro.
Okay, thank you, Johnny. Anybody have any rebuttals for Johnny? No? Okay. You ready for your question, Johnny?
No, I do. Please, I do.
Go ahead, Sheree. Hey.
Yeah, so when you hear the brother talk, right, he was all what he was talking about was money. This is my money, this is our reparations, this is how lazy people think, right? The money is not even there and he's already attacking his brothers and sisters.
You're gonna try to stick to the to his rebuttal and not personal attack.
Yeah, you heard him talking about money, right? Even the money.
We like money. Americans like money. I love money.
I like money too. I like money too.
Okay, but listen, Sheree, we're gonna just stick to his rebuttal, okay? Not personal attacks. All right, I'll give you more time. Thank you.
Yeah. So he was talking like I was waiting to hear something from him, and all I heard is that don't touch my money, something like that. That's my money. That's your. The last time I checked, it's African ancestors that built America, not you. Have you ever built anything? And I'll leave it here.
Yeah, just like I said, that's my money. That's my great grandmother that actually was a slave that I can go dig her bones up. You see how that works? But check this out. That's why we don't hang out. That's why I ain't never hang out with y'all. Because can you get deported right now? Or can your parents get deported? This dude can get deported right now. You see what I'm saying? I can't, but he my brother. I call ICE. I bet he won't even cam up. Africans don't even cam up because they scared of ICE. They that scared of the police. They can't even cam up, man. So don't be kicking at my brothers and sisters. Y'all not my brothers and sisters. Y'all foreigners. Y'all immigrants. You ain't no different than the Chinese, dude. Get that through your skull. You ain't no different than a Russian. You ain't no different than somebody born in Antarctica, man. You's a foreigner. You ain't no different than a Mexican, okay? I don't care nothing about your dark skin. You know what I'm saying? Get caught in the car with me. You know what I'm saying? Now ICE gotta come. Now ICE gotta come.
Let's keep it on his rebuttal.
All right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's my money because that was my great grandmother that actually was a slave. So yeah, that's my money because it was my great grandmother, dude.
All right, Johnny. What you say? You can go pull the bones up, Johnny?
Go dig them bones up, drag them in the courtroom in a white sack. You know what I'm saying? Just drag them and come throw them up on the plate, throw them on the wood desk. Bloop, 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 bloop. So yeah, the human being that this was a slave. Let me get my money. But I'm sure Maryland is far more civilized than to make me go to those extremes. I'm sure. But just to let them know that this is real. This is not the theory of blackness. You see, this is not where the original man stopped. We ain't talking about no original man right now. Nah, we ain't over here doing 12 hours a day for theory. We trying to get practical. We trying to get paid. We like money. You know what I'm saying? This ain't about making us feel good or my brothers and sisters. What is that doing for me? Nothing. That ain't paying my bills, man.
Okay. All right. Okay, Johnny. Okay, Johnny, do you think is the real issue systematic? No, I'm sorry. Is the real issue systemic inequality rather than immigration?
No, because I'm gonna have to go with Americans need to, look, if you're not satisfied with what's going on in the Democrat Party, you can leave, right? But you can't complain and want to stay and want to you can't leave and take the word black with you. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to change within the Democrat Party, cool. Whether you indigenous, whether you doing that other stuff, or whether you FBA, whatever, stay in the Democrat Party. That is the system. That is your system. But the thing about being an American, you don't even have to claim black. You can leave. You can come down here and be an American, be a patriot. You can say, I'm an American Negro. I'm not even black. Technically, I can check other and put American as my race. I'm not going to jail. But, I know, because sometimes, man, now I understand the brothers because I heard the brother original, so I'm really understanding. And the sister, I understand the clarification. Because sometimes people think it's like y'all fighting immigrants for food stamps. They think that's what it's about. So they saying we coming for their resources, but they think that we trying to take their immigrant food stamps away from them. No, we don't want y'all immigrant food stamps. Nothing. We want what only we are eligible to get. So why would you have a problem with Black Americans, Negroes, descendants of chattel slavery, wanting what only we are eligible to get? Because you don't want us to get that, because that's how petty you are. You don't even want us to get something you can't get. You know what? White folks don't even do that. Because white folks will let you get something and try to, get something out you. At least you don't even want me to get it in the first place because you petty. You know what I'm saying? That's sad, but that's why y'all not us. You can stay out our face. We ain't never got to speak ever, and we gonna be all right, but y'all need us because y'all can't protest. You think y'all can protest, ride, and loot by yourself, Africans and Black immigrants? No. They'll come out there with loud loot on y'all, man. Y'all not us. Y'all don't have the power we got, man, because we're American citizens, and y'all not.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Original and Johnny, I'm going to rotate the stage to get to the next people in the queue because I won't be on very long. All right, thank y'all.
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, love. Thank you, love. Thank you, love.